It's time for After Hours, an entertainment talk show where men can discuss all of today's headlines and hot topics, as well as personal issues, freely in an open forum. And now, here's your host of After Hours, Brad Davies.
Welcome into After Hours, everybody. I'm Brad Davies with my friends Andy Kalu, Jorge Vargas, and Roland Simmons. On today's show, Sylvester Stallone takes a shot at Bruce Willis. Johnny Manziel's in some hot water. And when is it okay to pee in a pool? But first, we start with Alex Rodriguez, who's having trouble peeing in a cup. Jorge, let's start with you. Alex Rodriguez, one of the biggest stars in the American sports scene in 50 years, back in trouble again. Obviously, he's still playing baseball and he's appealing, but 211 games. What's your take on A-Rod and the mess that he put himself in?
He put himself in a ton of mess, but here's the reality of it. You can't go from a 50-game suspension for everyone else, and baseball messed up by saying we want him out forever, and then they jumped it to 211. Any players union, any union anywhere, has got to say, look, that doesn't match. Yeah. You can't jump from 50 to 211 and make us as a union credible by saying that's what you're going to do. And I think A-Rod knows that. So when they wouldn't come down on the number, he wouldn't agree. Now, I don't think you've heard one person in his camp say, I didn't do anything at all. Okay?
They've never heard that. In fact, they avoid saying we didn't do it.
The punishment didn't commit the crime, and therefore baseball messed up, and they're going to wind up conceding and coming down. There's no doubt about it. He's lawyering up.
Well, the punishment is off the public perception. This is one of those deals, they don't have any hard evidence, but if you ask four guys at this table, did he do it, did he take the steroids, we're all going to say yes. But
wait a minute, he didn't test positive.
Exactly.
But that doesn't mean they don't have any hard evidence. He is linked so many different ways to this biogenesis lab. You really, I mean,
but
this
hard
guy
evidence is a positive test.
The Johnny Cochran team would need to be reassembled for A-Rod to have a chance in this.
Well, again, it's not in a court of law.
I know, I understood.
That's always the big thing, too, is if it was a court of law, they probably don't even have him at all.
Right.
My thing was the whole speculation aspect of, of course, him. I guess he was supposed to be a owner of this lab or whatever it was.
Well, he knew the owner, and he didn't know, he wasn't a part owner. He went to the owner.
That would be hard evidence. That would be the hard evidence that I was looking for.
I've got my DBA right here.
If he was the owner, he would actually bring this stuff in. No, he went to the owner and said, here's what I'm looking to do.
Yeah.
And help me rehab from an injury. And again, what I love about anyone that says, oh, and they finally come up and say, okay, I did it. I did it for the team. I was trying to get back to play.
So ridiculous.
Whatever. Look, you did it because you wanted to be better. You get paid. And the
Right.
bottom line is, in any performance enhancing or any type of thing, if they're getting paid more, if the incentive is there to cheat,
They're gonna do
you're
it.
going to cheat. And my thing is,
I
baseball
disagree,
needs.
but go
Well,
ahead.
no. Some, not all, but some.
Here's what
They
baseball
definitely
needs
will.
to do, though. Look, they've got the rules in place now. Let it go. You can't go by what the past when you didn't have any controllables in line. They do now. I mean, anyone's going to do anything now except for HGH testing, which they're working on finalizing to get it right. That's all you can do.
Let me throw this at you. It's amazing to me the bubble Alex Rodriguez lives in. He looks at the camera defiantly and says, well, people are out to get me. You know, I don't have to tell you who they are. You know who they are. And he believes it. He's the only man in America who believes this nonsense that he continues to spew. What kind of a bubble, as a professional athlete, a former professional athlete, what kind of a bubble does this guy live in?
Well, first of all, people are out to get him, and they have reason to. So
Because,
he just doesn't, he leaves that part out. But when you're an athlete, when you're a professional athlete, collegiate athlete, you're in a bubble. You are in a bubble. You are detached from reality. I was a role player for 12 years in the NFL, and you couldn't tell me I wasn't the greatest defensive end in the world. And you know why?
I think I did a few times from the stands.
But the reason why is because of the people that are around you. You're just so detached. Again, you show up to a restaurant. Again, role player. I was a backup to Hugh Douglas, to Bruce Smith. Lunch is on to everybody else. Dinner's on to everybody else. When we were 0-7, when I was with the Washington Redskins, I still thought we were on the best team in the world just because those people always saying you, Jorge, you're the greatest.
Well, that's because you're
or
cheap and
the-
people are buying your meal.
But my point is,
He wore his jersey.
and that's as a role player. So just imagine the type of people surrounding Alex Rodriguez.
Yeah.
So I understand why he's detached from reality, but now that I'm on the outside looking in, I can see that he is detached.
Well, I think an interesting part of anyone with wealth, okay, regardless what you do for a living, the richer you are, most people start to get rid of the naysayers in their lives.
Yeah.
So people that can check you and say, Andy, you're living in a fantasy world, my friend. You're a backup. just try to live your career out and give you some advice. You don't want to hear that. I'm the best in the world. I don't want to hear it. And people who make, just like any kind of rock star, look at Justin Bieber. All these people, they just get rid of all these people that tell them what to do, and they start becoming idiots.
There's no checks and balances.
Right.
That becomes a
And that's
major
what
problem.
happens. And you're right. That's why his world is not. He's not dealing with reality.
Let me ask you guys this. Let me ask you this, okay? Just as a sports fan, do you even care anymore? I feel like this has been going on for so many years. People are just sick of the steroid story, and I understand that. But should they be sick of the steroid story?
I'm sort of immune to it now. I mean, we've been going through this since I grew up a Cubs fan. I grew up right outside Chicago, and I grew up a Cubs fan. And you remember back to the Sammy Sosa era with the cork in the bat.
98,
the cork in the bat and all of that. So I'm sort of immune to it now. It's like you said, I'm pretty much sick
But I
of
mean,
it.
there's no level playing field.
Look,
I
the
would
reason
think
why in
fans should be
baseball it's
outraged.
such a big deal is because of numbers.
Right.
Baseball fans and baseball purists are all about how many home baseballs. They got numbers for every daggum thing. It drive me crazy personally. And it's those numbers that they feel is sacred, and they feel like the performance-enhancing drug is messing up the numbers. Let's face it. When an NFL player gets popped for overtraining, overtraining, and they get popped, no one goes, they're horrible people. Oh, he got caught. He'll get.
Four-game suspension, he'll be back to help our team get to the Super Bowl.
That's what it is.
With the MLB, with baseball, like you said, it's all about the numbers. With football, it's about team
Look,
success.
Alex Rodriguez is the lead story on the Today Show, Fox News, all the major news networks. If a football player gets popped, as you said, the first question you ask is, well, who's going to replace him and when's he coming back? Who are we playing in those 4 games? Nobody cares. I mean, it's amazing.
My fantasy team.
How's my fantasy team going to be affected?
But look, I think in any form of life, I don't care what you do for a living, whatever it is you do, you just want to know that I'm competing against you and the same. I don't want you to be cheating. I don't want you to have a benefit that I don't get.
It does bother
to
you.
compete you.
It does bother you.
Right. It does bother me.
That's good.
But I just want to know what the playing field is. If you're going to allow X amount, just say that's what it is, and then have the testing in order. And again, look, baseball and Bud Selig in general is running around with his chest pump. We have the greatest testing. We do this, and he's taking all the credit for it. Where was he when Sammy Sosa and McGuire were popping home runs out, and they were blown up like balloons?
That's fair.
Yeah, you had all these guys running around, and no one knew. Really, no one had a clue. And again, media in general as well.
Yeah.
No one asked the right question. And when you did, they were like, I don't know anything about
it. It's fair.
steroids.
Everyone turned an eye, including the media. I would totally agree with you on
Exactly.
that. Again, whether or not it's a good thing that people don't seem to care about steroids anymore, to me is another, I guess, debate for another day. We go from one troubled soul to another. Johnny Manziel, again, in a bubble, seems to be in a bubble and just kind of marching to the beat of his own drum, and life goes on, and who knows what's really going on inside the guy's head. But from afar, it seems, ND, like this guy's in a little bit of trouble.
It seems like he's in a little bit of trouble. You have the, all the autograph brokers saying that they did pay him $7,500.
Can I say scumbags on TV?
Oh, absolutely.
What scumbags these guys are.
And you hear the reason why they're coming out. They're saying that the Manziel family, they put the trademark on Johnny Football, so a lot of these brokers are losing money. They can't sell Johnny Football items on eBay.
He's
so
smart.
This is them going after Johnny Manziel. So, like you said, scumbags, it's happening. You know what? This is one of those deals. You hate the rule, but it's still the rule. He has to follow. If he broke the rule, he has to serve some kind of punishment. But they do need to look at this rule. They need to look at this rule.
They need to get him. They need to have it ironclad. The difference in that whole program is the brokers have said, yes, we did this to the media, but when the NCAA comes to interview him, they say, I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
I'm not going to talk to you. So the NCAA, by their own investigation, they're not going to have the solid evidence to say, this is what you did. So unless they have them, and let's face it, there's a ton of money involved. When Alabama sits up in College Station to play Texas A&M, CBS has that game.
Yeah.
Do you not think they're putting pressure on the NCAA saying, we want Johnny Manziel on that football field when it's time to play? Now, I think the real problem I have with Johnny Manziel, it's selfish. One word, selfish. Everything he's doing is about Johnny Manziel. That tells me he's not a team player.
Well,
he realizes he's doing a ton of stuff off the field.
Now, look,
but if you're signing autographs or putting your team in jeopardy,
yes, horrible
That's
job by you.
selfish.
I totally agree on that. But at the same time, I feel like maybe he's getting bad advice. I'm probably in the
comes from a
minority.
wealthy family.
Understood. Probably in the minority here. He's a kid who made some bad decisions. I don't know that necessarily makes him a bad kid. Does that make sense?
Leave Johnny alone. My thing on Johnny is a 20-year-old kid.
Well, he
Like
broke
you
the
said,
rules. I mean,
he broke the rules.
Yeah.
He should be punished for that. But at the same time, he will never get these years back. He's in college. I mean, he's living a dream.
Except for Rollin. Rollin was in college for 8 years, and he
no,
still
he
goes
got
to
a
college.
2-year school.
He still goes from time to time looking for dates.
I mean, look at it. He will never get these years back. Okay, yes, he's making bad decisions, but him going down this bumpy road and all this and that, I think that's going a little bit overboard.
Look, the bottom line on that is, look, he wanted the extra money, he said, for rims, or that's what the guy says. This is he's got all the money in the world coming from his family. Look, I don't care if he sits in front row at basketball games and all that stuff. That I had no problem
Yeah,
with.
but some people did, and some people.
but
I think it was jealousy.
but
I think it was
Oh,
jealousy.
absolutely. I mean, when you see him at the basketball games, when you see he's on stage at the Wale
People
concert,
then put a
they
target on
get
him.
jealous. You know, one thing he needs
Agreed.
to do, he shouldn't tweet the stuff out. I mean, I understand he's having fun,
Stop
but he
tweeting.
needs to realize that there are haters, that there are people that are envious, and you can't tweet it out.
Yeah.
Then in your next
But again,
sentence,
he's-
tweet out, you're sick of college because you got a parking
Agreed,
ticket.
but he's living in a bubble. I mean,
Right.
that's
We
the
talked
thing.
about
He's
the
got to
bubble.
get better advice.
Someone needs to check him. Look, the
Agreed.
bottom line, his parents bought those $10,000 seats right in front row at the Heat game. Okay,
Right.
they've been enabling him to be an idiot or a clown. Now again, if he's being right, if he's being straight and keeping his mind right, it's okay. But
Yeah.
at
Let me
some
put you on
point,
the
gotta
spot,
say no.
Brad.
Go ahead.
If I told you there was a undersized athletic quarterback who had 21 rushing touchdowns, was probably the fastest quarterback in the country, and he was popped for taking money to buy rims for his car, tell the truth. And I held up a picture of Johnny Manziel and Taj Boyd. Who would you think it was?
Which one's white?
I always found that
what I'm
interesting.
saying.
You're 100% correct.
You're
You're
absolutely
100%
right.
correct.
This
But-
is
but
the
again-
first time we've ever got a chance to see, a guy not from
Yeah.
an urban community.
Mess up for rims.
Oh, and yes, you're right. You're right, and
the
it's a
black
big
community has embraced
No,
Johnny Manziel.
no
Leave him
doubt.
alone.
You're 100%
He's one of
right.
us now.
Look, it'll be very interesting to see how this ends up moving, as it moves along here, how the whole thing ends up. He's going to have to, I'm sure he's going to be in trouble. We'll see where it goes. All right, coming up, should the Fort Hood shooter be allowed to represent himself at trial? We'll kick it around on After Hours coming up.
Tu piel es naturalmente bella, pero la belleza también necesita ayuda. Los productos Avena del Instituto Español le dan a tu piel todo lo que necesita, nutriéndola e hidratándola de forma intensiva, protegiendo tu piel. Avena del Instituto Español, tu belleza natural.
Welcome back to After Hours, everybody. The Fort Hood shooter, Nadel Hassan, is representing himself at his trial that continued this week. And I'll tell you, I watched this, and it, on some levels, reminds me of a three-ring circus. I mean, the guy clearly, he's having a tough time, and the judge at one point had to rule as to whether or not that was even, in his best interest. What's your take on whether or not he should be able to defend himself?
Not only should he be able to defend himself, he should be able to put the needle in his arm when it's time for him to leave this earth. Because why should he have the best of the lawyers trying to defend this animal? We all know he did it. This is just the process to get to the ruling. And it's not as if he has some kind of advantage unless I'm missing something in defending himself. Now, the one thing that I don't like when I read about this story, they said that he will get to question the victim's family face to face.
Yeah.
And I don't like that part of the process. But
and the victims.
and
okay.
actually
The
the
people-
ones
yeah,
that live.
yeah,
But
yeah.
he's done
and
none of
I
that.
don't.
He's done no questioning of anyone. I think the thing that is really, if you really go through the whole case, it's disturbing.
Yeah.
This man walked with an absolute cool calm, with multiple clips, very calmly just started picking off people one at a time. If someone moved, he shot them.
Yeah.
It was extremely disturbing to hear him listen to the people on the stands literally were looking right at him, and you could tell they were shaking. It was a horrifying deal. But as far as him being allowed to, I agree with Indy 100%. But what the law is trying to make sure happens here is that they feel like he's gotten a fair shake, and the world can say he got a fair shake, and that's really what they're trying to take care of. But I agree with him. He can knock. He wants to be a martyr. Let him be it.
Well, that's fine. The other thing, though, is too, he is facing the people that he shot, which I think is going to be traumatic for some of these. Not necessarily. I mean, I saw some interviews. People said, "I can't wait to look him in the eye and tell him he shot me, and I'm going to, this is my chance.
That person's going to be disappointed because
I
they're not going to
agree.
get the reaction from him that they want to get.
I
They want him
agree.
to break down and ask for forgiveness.
Right.
He's going to look them in the eye and say, I wish I would have killed you.
Right, because he's sick. But what I'm saying is, for others, it's almost, I hate to use the word intimidating, but on some level, it's a little bit intimidating.
It's a big waste of time to me. I mean, time, money, the dude he's past an animal. Why does he have to get a fair shake just because we are a justifiable country and everybody gets their fair trial and all that? The dude just
You
frail.
just said it.
I'm
You just
sorry.
said it.
Answered your own question.
Yeah, no,
But
you
why?
have to.
They take this guy from a helicopter. I mean, seriously.
Well, you have
a
to give him-
helicopter. He goes from a military base. I think it's some jail or something. I think jail or whatever the jail is in a military helicopter.
I think they've got him in a
to
palatial
court.
estate. What do you
And-
Of course he's in jail.
They take him to a helicopter every day. You know how much money they spending on this clown?
Are you kidding
I
me?
agree.
He's still a major, and he's still getting paid. You want to get mad about that.
That's what you're upset about,
Okay?
100%. Agree, 100%.
That's where it really gets sticky. But the bottom line is the U.S. justice system is trying to show the world that even this man will get due justice, and if he wants to try himself. The sad part truly is for the lawyers as well, because they have to do what they can to make sure he gets, because the problem with all of this is if it goes into appeal later, then all of a sudden you got it all over again, and I'm worried the victims will have to go through it again.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's what
that's
they're
the point.
But that's
Agreed.
what they're trying to make sure
Yeah.
doesn't happen,
Yeah.
and that's why they're being a little careful on it.
You know what? We go from one crazy court case to another potentially crazy court case. If I, God forbid, was being tried for something, I would want someone like LeBron James on the jury. He's been called the king. The king. Because who else would you want judging you but the king?
Can I get a witness?
Yeah, LeBron James has been called to jury duty. Now, I'm not 100% sure how it went. My guess is he was probably booted. What's your take on LeBron James getting called to jury duty? And have you ever been called to jury duty?
Yes, I've been called in as when I was still playing, so obviously I didn't even have to show up. I think the Texans, they sent a
listen
letter.
to this.
They sent a letter saying that,
No, listen.
this is the bubble we talked
It's
about earlier.
understandable. LeBron James would drag his sorry butt out of bed. But Andy Kalu, we wouldn't want to have ND in that
It's the
situation.
NFL versus NBA, LeBron, whatever. But if I'm LeBron,
Their
I
salary
do
is
it.
guaranteed.
yeah, right.
I played through all my contracts, thank you. But if I'm LeBron, I do it. Just for the heck of it. He keeps talking about, he came out this week talking about how he wanted to see
Yeah.
what it feels like to be a normal person.
Yeah,
Well,
this is normal.
This is normal. Go to jury duty.
I got
Make
news
that,
for you.
what is it, $8 an hour?
Yeah,
What they
it's
pay
not.
them?
I don't even
Or
think it's that
$8
much.
a day, I
don't even
believe.
think it's that much.
not even-
Not even your parking, basically.
You're right, not an hour. I think it's a day. I mean, I've been called like 3 or 4 times, and they've never selected me.
I would love to do it.
I think it's because
wonder
I'm
why.
too outspoken, but I, like you, I would love to do it because I feel like you need people who actually
It's part of
would
a bigger
participate,
problem.
you know?
Whenever you have these issues, like the Trayvon Martin issue, and everyone, first thing they go to is they go to the jury and say the jury pool stunk.
Right.
Well, if you don't have African Americans or minorities go out there, or people with jobs actually go out there and sit in there in the pool, then you're always going to have a jury pool that's always slanted, it's always the same. And so if everyone wants to never go and show up, and again, I agree with you. When I've gone, I've tried to get on. Now, they don't take me, it's the way it goes. But for everyone that doesn't go, you can't complain about the justice system
Right.
if you're not willing to go be part of it. And so I think that's the
Yeah,
the
but
bigger,
how
that's
many
the
people
bigger
do you
thing.
know are going and they're not getting selected? Because
Oh,
it sounds
I-
like you're saying that, you brought
lot
up
of people don't
Trayvon
get
Martin and the minorities just didn't show up. How many
Well, I'll say
actually
this.
showed up
Of the
and
three,
they were dismissed?
of the 3 or 4 times I've been called, twice they never even questioned me and they just dismissed me. One time,
as soon as you walked in.
what? No,
Next.
there's a whole group. You just sit there and
Okay.
then. And this is why people hate jury duty, because oftentimes
Yeah.
you get called, you're sitting there for hours, and you can't use your phone or iPad. You just have to sit there and basically do nothing. And then they'll come in and they'll say, "Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you coming in today, but we have nothing. We have no one to whatever." And so you're gone, and that's the end of it. And they dismiss you. And that's why people hate it.
But you get paid on your job. I think it's a law that your job has to pay you.
Not all jobs do. It's not a law. Most
Right.
jobs do that as a courtesy.
As
But
Andy
it's
said,
not a-
most,
it's not
but
a
but
law.
I'll tell you, what most employers try to do
Get
is,
you out of
is
it.
get you out of it. They do.
Right. Oh, and they want you to get
Yeah,
out of it, and
they
they
do.
basically tell you,
That's
you really
it.
need to get out of there. We don't
Yes.
need you in.
So
in
do you
jury
get paid for the day you didn't do anything?
Yes, they give you whatever
you
is
show
their
up-
$8, and then the
Right.
best part is they write a note. They give you a note, they sign notes, you get to take it back to work with them.
So you
Yes.
sit there all day, don't do anything, get paid on the taxpayer's dime.
And then,
What is it, the DMV?
like
well,
10
that's what I'm
bucks.
saying.
Okay.
But see, it's the system.
You
That's
pay
why.
$8 to park, and it's $10 you get paid.
That's
Whatever
it.
is.
And that's
you
why-
make $2, and by the time you pay for your gas to get there, you lose.
Oh, you get a sandwich and water for lunch, I think.
No, you don't. You have to. You go out. You buy
you
your
have to
own
buy
lunch.
your own
You
lunch.
supply your own lunch. They don't even serve box lunches. If you can
But
believe
still,
that.
it's your duty
It is your duty.
to serve.
And
on
all
the
I'm saying
jury.
is, and what it's the way the jury system works is what will help make things be decided properly. I mean, you can't not go.
I will say, a lot of times I hear people trying to get out of jury duty, and as I've gotten older,
How many
I,
times have you been called?
just once, and I didn't get picked. I was kind of disappointed. I want to be on a serious trial, like a murder trial or something. I don't have to work for 2 weeks. Put me in a
If you're
hotel.
getting paid by your work, that's good.
Listen to this guy. I wouldn't have to work for. Yeah, you're exactly the guy I want on the jury. Hey, just a quick note too, transitioning from onto a totally new topic. Quick thought, I thought from you, because you've had to sit through these rookie symposiums before. Shabazz Muhammad of the T-Wolves got booted. He got himself into a little bit of trouble. He was, with a
He
girl.
brought a woman to his hotel room.
Yeah.
They're trying to tell him of what not to do, right?
Yeah.
And you're not supposed to have women in your hotels.
This is
all
at
that
the
type of
rookie
thing. At the rookie symposium for them. And so he gets caught with a woman in his room and he gets kicked out.
Yeah.
You've been to rookie symposiums for the NFL. What?
You
Your
know,
thoughts?
this is what they do. It's almost like punishment, and I'm not excusing his behavior,
Yeah.
but they put you in these hotels. They lock you in there for 4 days. You cannot leave. We're part of the first NFL symposium, so maybe they've loosened it up, but you cannot step foot outside of the hotel for 4 days. They bring in all these different speakers, and they talk about the pitfalls of professional athletics. And I'll tell you what they did real interesting. They had this attractive lady just walk around the lobby for
No
4 days.
way.
For 4 days, and she didn't speak until the last day. Then she gets up on stage and said, "Hi, I've seen some of y'all in between breaks during breakout sessions. A couple of y'all gave me your phone number. My name is so-and-so, and I'm HIV positive." And all the guys, you just heard the hush in the room.
Yeah.
And then she talked about getting with the wrong person, always protecting yourself. So there's so many lessons to be learned. I don't think they should have kicked him out of
Yeah.
the symposium because he's the idiot that needs it.
Well,
He's the
that's-
one that really
Exactly,
needs
that's
to
the
hear
point.
the stories.
Right, make him stay extra
Yeah.
or something.
Exactly.
But because now he's got to come. Here's what's the interesting part is, next year he's got to come back after he's already been through an NBA season
And then
doing
sit
whatever
through it
wrong he
again.
should have. Right. But when that happened to Allen Iverson, he would just write a check every year to the NBA for the fine and never showed up and never did one.
It's
I
like
think that's interesting.
you don't kick somebody out of rehab while they're in rehab. The purpose
Seems
is-
counterproductive.
Yeah, they're in rehab to get rehabilitation.
All right, when we come back, Sylvester Stallone takes a swing at Bruce Willis, and we'll discuss on After Hours.
Tu piel es naturalmente bella, pero la belleza también necesita ayuda. Los productos Avena del Instituto Español le dan a tu piel todo lo que necesita, nutriéndola e hidratándola de forma intensiva, protegiendo tu piel. Avena del Instituto Español, tu belleza natural.
Welcome back into After Hours. I don't know about you guys, I'm a huge fan of action movies and action stars. In fact, you and I have had conversations about this before. There just aren't any great action heroes in the movies these days.
Anymore.
Now, I don't know if you have seen The Expendables. They've had 2 versions, and The Expendables was put together by Sylvester Stallone, and he's brought in all sorts of different action heroes like Chuck Norris, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis as well has been one of the staples in the first 2 movies. Well, apparently Sylvester Stallone and Bruce Willis have had a falling out, and Bruce Willis is now no longer going to be in the upcoming Expendables movie. And I have the tweet. So Sylvester Stallone took to the social media to announce this to the whole world.
They always do that.
Well, and this is what he said. This is from Sylvester Stallone. He says, Willis out, Harrison Ford in, which is very cool, by the way. Who's better than Harrison Ford? Great news. I've been waiting for it for years. Then he tweets 3 minutes later, and he says, greedy and lazy, a sure formula for career failure. Sylvester Stallone took a shot at Bruce Willis.
This is bigger than Tupac versus Biggie.
This
I
is
mean,
enormous. This is going to split Hollywood like we've never seen before.
Rocky versus Die Hard. I mean, this
Rocky
is
versus
huge.
Die Hard. Let me ask you this. Sly and Bruce Willis Fist fight on the street. Who you got?
Come on, that's not.
Who you got?
Sly all day.
Really? I think
day.
Willis is tricky.
Sly's
yeah.
PED'd out, man.
He's
It's
PED'd
a
out.
good thing there's no testing
Yeah.
in
It's
Hollywood.
true. That's true. It's a
Because
very
that
good point.
guy's juiced up like a moose.
Yeah, very good point.
Are you kidding me?
But what does this mean? I mean, you never see guys.
It means what he
Of
tweeted.
that
Harrison
stature.
Ford is in, and
Which is great.
We'll probably never hear about it again, which is unfortunate because I would love the behind-the-scenes story.
Oh, there's going to be a behind.
think
Don't you
so?
think it's got to come out?
Not
This
the real story.
We're
Bruce
talking about
Willis will
Bruce
do something.
Willis. We're talking about
Bruce
Bruce
Willis
Willis.
Not the way we want it to come out.
Well, okay.
I want numbers because basically he said greedy and lazy. So Bruce
Greedy
Willis
and lazy.
probably wanted more money than everybody else,
Yeah.
and he didn't want to show up. But
Yeah.
I need to see the real numbers.
Because Bruce Willis is still the man. Bruce Willis he's still what's that movie?
But
he
he's
just
not
put
bigger.
out?
You heard the names. You heard the
He was
cast.
so good that
He
Rollin
doesn't
didn't know the
know
movie.
the name.
What was that movie? He was so good
Bruce
in
Willis is still
that I
the
didn't
man.
see.
But he's in something after the expense.
Look, see, you guys are big action
Yes.
movie guys. I'm sorry, man. Do I want to see 50, 60-year-old dudes running around pretending like they still got it?
Yes.
Jumping
The
off-
answer is yes.
Look, if I fall off this chair right now, I'm going to be down for a few hours.
Yeah.
These guys are jumping and falling off of cars going 60 miles an hour and they jump right back up.
True,
And
but
they're
I'm going to
50
tell you this.
Get out of here.
There's something very
buy any
special.
of it.
I'm not even lying. To see Bruce Willis, Sylvester Stallone, Arnold, Chuck Norris, Jason Statham, all in one action sequence. That is movie
When
magic.
Chuck
my
Norris
friend.
would roundhouse kick you, oh.
Agreed.
You ain't coming back
I
from that.
agree
You ain't coming
100%.
back from that,
Agree
man.
100%. All right, when we come back, when is it okay to pee in the pool? We'll discuss. This is a serious matter. We'll discuss next on After Hours. I don't like peeing in the pool. Not a fan.
Tu piel es naturalmente bella, pero la belleza también necesita ayuda. Los productos Avena del Instituto Español le dan a tu piel todo lo que necesita, nutriéndola e hidratándola de forma intensiva, protegiendo tu piel. Avena del Instituto Español, tu belleza natural.
All right, welcome back into After Hours. Michael Phelps chased down by the paparazzi this week, and someone questioned him, threw a mic in his face and said, Michael, have you ever peed in the pool? And he said, and I'm paraphrasing, yes, and everyone pees in the pool. Now, this is an Olympic gold medalist. I can sit here and honestly tell you, I think the last time I peed in the pool, I had swimmies on. I mean, I don't think it's okay to pee in a pool. Unless I'm the one who's peeing in the pool. That's a different story. But I don't think you should pee in my pool.
Adults shouldn't pee in the pool.
Adults should not pee in pools.
I'm sorry, adults should not
I
pee
agree
in
with
the pool.
that.
Yeah.
No, as long as you don't take a dump in the pool,
Oh.
it doesn't matter. But
Come
when
on.
that's why
Well,
do you
this
have
is a
chlorine?
serious
Why do you
matter.
have chlorine in the pool? So you can pee in it.
But no, it doesn't allow you to pee in the pool. It protects you in case someone has an accident in the pool.
This is
It's not
a-
saying, hey, pee in the
To
pool.
keep the bacteria
This
out
is
of
the
pool.
only reason I don't pee in the pool because I saw the movie Grown Ups and they had the
Exactly.
blue dye
Exactly.
and I didn't want to get
And
caught.
that's
know.
exactly what they should have.
But if it
Agreed.
wasn't for
They
that,
know.
That's exactly what they should have.
All
if
right,
I go to the
time.
bathroom and I buy a pool, I'm going into the pool.
All right, time for. Remind me
Ain't going to your pool.
never to go swim with
Exactly.
you.
No.
All right, time for our parting shot, and Rollin has it, and it's something we can all relate to: family vacation.
It's summertime, the kids are out of school, so naturally they're going to need things to do. You're going to wonder, what can I do with my kids? Well, that comes in the amusement park, all right? Kids want to go to the amusement park. I just got back from SeaWorld with my kids in San Antonio. And I thought about it. Men need a survival guide for the amusement park because the same way you go in the amusement park is not the way you're going to come out. Number one, you're going to need sunglasses because the amusement park's open during the daytime, all right? The sunglasses serve two purposes. They block the sun from your eyes, and also they keep your wife from seeing what you're looking at.
Fair
Remember,
point.
The wandering eye.
it's
okay?
the summertime, so remember, all right? The second, the towel. You're going to need the towel. The towel serves two purposes, all right? It blocks the sun from beating on your neck, and also it increases the visibility that you have, but your wife can't see what you're looking at, all right? So it's like
You got a wandering eye problem.
What
it's
you
like,
need-
it's
what
like
you need
wearing
to
a
do-
hoodie. It's like wearing a hoodie.
What you need to do is stop going on vacation and start going to strip joints. All right, you're going to the wrong places.
But especially if they have a water park inside the park. And lastly, remember, you
Don't
can take
pee if you go to the water park. Do not pee.
you can take coolers inside the park. All right, remember that. You can take coolers,
There you
put
go.
some water, some sandwiches,
Yeah,
some nuts,
we're all much better. Nuts. Make sure you bring the nuts.
and pack patience.
That does it for tonight's show. To be a part of the show next week, send your questions and comments to afterhourshow.com. Good night, everybody.
feel good. I think I'm gonna keep this.
You
on.
look silly.